Jeff here, just down in the crawl space of this new construction, and I've got some ducts to tie into, some flex ducts. So I've got some 6 and 5 right here. I already have my trunk line kind of prepped up, but I'm going to be adding some takeoffs right here, and I've already got one installed up here, one right there, and then one over here. And then I've got to put an end cap on that big trunk line. As you can see, it goes on down the road there. So anyway, we're gonna just kind of go through the process. First thing's gonna be to do is to cut yourself a hole. I'm using a 6-inch takeoff, and these are the airtight kind. I'll show you. Let's see if I can grab one of those. Yep, here's one. So there's a 6-inch takeoff. This has a gasket on it with a little bit of adhesive, and then of course pre-piloted for some zip screws. So I'm going to start on that. It's hard to do this filming, but really you just need to make sure you're somewhere where you can access that, get your hand around it. And this thing works, first part's one-handed. All you're doing is just putting that hole in there. So then this little pivot point here can go in that. So I'll come back as I show you, but let's see if we can do any of this with one hand. I doubt it. Yeah, it's not easy, but you can see that's starting the hole. Sorry, you're starting a hole there. I'll go ahead and cut the hole, but you get the idea, and we'll pick it up from there. Alright, so you can see that cuts the hole. Little tight spaces here, so I had to switch to my M12 just to give me a little shorter reach in there. So anyway, good reason to have backup tools. So I got those holes cut out. We'll go ahead and put the collars on. So again, this 6-inch takeoff is called the airtight kind. It goes flush against your sheet metal. It does have that little gasket. It is got a little bit of adhesive. We're not going to rely on the adhesive, of course, because that wouldn't last cold environments or hot environments. It would give you a problem. So good news is you can look through and kind of line up your hole, make sure you're there. And what I do like about the adhesive is that it will hold in place while I get out my gun to go ahead and nail that. I'm just using little 1/2-inch or 3/4-inch little zip screws, pointed ones that go through pretty quick. So I'll get back to that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put on this this adjustable, and it could be a 90. In this case, I'm gonna actually make it straight, and then I'm actually gonna use another one to give me the bend, because this is the end of that 25-foot run of 6-inch. I don't want to do a coupling here, so literally if I put another 90 right here, I can make that happen. I went ahead and put just 2 screws into this angle, and you can see those 2 screws are in there. So those are good. They won't impede the air or anything. But as an added measure of sealing up, I'm going to go ahead and put some sealant tape on that and kind of seal that up permanently. And it doesn't hurt to put some tape on these so they don't adjust on you, but you don't have to. So I'll go ahead and get that done. All right, so I went ahead, I used this this kind of sealant tape. So this has that rubbery stuff on it, goopy stuff that actually becomes a permanent seal, and I used that in 2 places, one on this extra one in there. Went ahead and added a little bit of duct tape here to this part to keep those unions from moving, and then duct taped the inner part of that 6-inch duct. Pull that out and kind of tuck this back so that you can duct tape that on to the actual angle, and then I'll go ahead and pull this up and over and put a big nylon strap on that and get that cinched down. And then just kind of make sure you grab a hold of that pink stuff, the insulation, and pull it with you. You want the plastic and the plastic sheathing, or if you have some like this is the metal or the foil kind, make sure you got that with you, and you can see it there. Make sure you have that with you. I kind of tuck and roll to keep it neat, but then just make sure it's coming up there with you as you pull that through, and then we'll go ahead and get a tie on it real quick. This is that plastic nylon strap here. I'm gonna reach around and pull that up through here, and basically we're gonna cinch that up around here, try to get that as tight on here as we can. Okay, so now that I've got that hand tight, you go ahead and put this this tool on there, and this will actually cinch it down. You can see that just pulls it tight. You can see it getting snugged. That's like me putting on my belt after Thanksgiving dinner. Wish I had one of these, actually. I think my pants might fit. Let me get out of the light here. There we go. So you can see that cinching down, and then right here, it's got the little cutter. So when you clip that, that cuts it. Now you got that on there snug, you've got it taped, you've got it sealed. That is a 6-inch line feeding a bedroom. Nice R4 flex duct, done. So we'll move on to this guy and this one up here. But before I do anything else here, I need to get that end cap put on this trunk line, so none of that's in my way and I have full access to that. All right, so if you're going to be cutting this duct, highly recommend a tool like this. This knife is serrated. Again, this is really hard to do on one hand, not holding that, but as you can see, it does a good job of just going through the skin, the plastic. So the inside, you got 3 materials you're cutting. It does a great job of getting all 3 of them. You do need to have a pair of dikes on you, or snips one way or the other to cut the wire that's in there. But other than that, this is a great little tool to have. I'm getting ready to feed that line up there and cut this off. So this is a good way to cut it. Let me see if I've got that other tool handy. I do have kind of an all-in-one that I use too that has the snips. All right, and then back to your geometry skills. So Miss Freeman, you probably never thought I would have ever remembered anything from your class, but I do remember how to figure out the circumference of a circle, and that is the diameter times your 3.14. So that gives you, in the case of doing a 6-inch pipe, you need about 20 inches of tape. And if you're in a tight little spot like this is, it's kind of best to have your tape cut, and so you don't have to deal with it up there. So anyway, remember your math skills there to get that. All right, now I got this end cap put on, some threaded or sharp pointy screws, those zip screws, as well as bending out the flange on both sides. Got a couple of screws in that, which you can see. And then of course using this tape, which I really like that tape. It's super sticky. It gives me a lot of confidence in every corner, knowing that I've got that airtight sealed up, so not going to lose any air there. This one is now connected, got the pano zip tie on there, and all sealed up around the ends. You can see this one was not the airtight kind, so I had to use some of that sealant around the base of that. But all in all, coming along. So I've got one more here to do in this little bay, and I can move out of here. So this one, I'm actually using a reducer because the line I have is a 5-inch. So basically, I'm putting this in the same 6-inch hole. So that's kind of like a pro tip. There's nothing wrong with cutting some holes and then reducing them down to the size of duct that you have. So the same process here. I already got that airtight takeoff on, and I'm going to go ahead and put just a screw or 2 in to hold that coupler in place, and then I'll go ahead and just duct tape that.